Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening for the information session on our Innovation Leadership Microcertificate. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the UBC School of Biomedical Engineering is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. It's important for us to reflect that we're guests on this land. First of all, just a quick introduction. My name is Danielle Walker. I'm the Partnerships Manager for the School of Biomedical Engineering. And with the wonderful support of our instructors, we've been developing this innovation certificate. I'm going to actually hand it over to Melissa to say a few words about herself. And then Ali Adarkani, who's the founder and managing director of Novature Ventures, to do a quick introduction as my slides. I cannot see my notes. So Melissa, would you mind just saying a few words about yourself?
Yes, hi Danielle and hi everyone. I'm Milica Vukmirovic. I'm an Innovation Strategy and Business Development Advisor with Novature Ventures. I have a PhD in cancer cell biology and 10 plus years in business development. I worked with several universities in USA, in Europe, and in Canada, and had the chance to build several innovation programs, including ADMARE National Therapeutics Accelerator. And this year, I'm thrilled to build this course together with Ali Ardekani and with support of UBC and Novature Ventures.
Wonderful. Thank you, Melissa. And Ali, if you don't mind giving a quick intro.
Of course. Thank you, Danielle, and welcome everyone. And thank you so much for joining us on this very exciting journey. My name is Ali Ardekani. I'm the Managing Director and founder of Novature Venture. We're a boutique advisory and investment firm founded in Vancouver about 9 years ago. My personal background, I've started my career about 25 years ago. I've done work both in medical devices and therapeutics. I've been involved in a number of startups, taken several products to market and commercialization in both therapeutics and medical devices. I came back to Vancouver after spending a few years in New York, and I started Novature Ventures. And since then, I've been very active in the community. I'm also now the past chair of Life Sciences BC. I'm really delighted to be bringing this course together with Milica and the help of Daniel and the rest of the UBC team. And really, we're hoping this is the kind of course I wish it was available back in the day when I was going to UBC, and helping all of you as potential future innovators being able to develop really amazing IP, which is the solid foundation of any venture.
Wonderful. Well said, Ali. Thank you. And the instructor for the Identification of Unmet Needs course is John Jafari. John, would you mind doing a quick intro as well?
Great. Thank you, Danielle. It's great to be here, and thanks everybody for your time. So I'm John Jafari. I am leading the Identification of Unmet Medical Need course, and it's an area that's very passionate for me in terms of understanding, what does unmet medical need mean, and how do therapeutic options get developed, whether it's a medical device or a therapeutic. My background is strategic marketing and business development. I've worked at a number of early stage companies in the States, in gene therapy, worked for Novartis for a couple of years, as well as Eli Lilly, and then transitioned to Canada in 2005 to work for a company called QLT. And since then, I've worked at ADMARE as well with, I think some overlap with Melissa. And now I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Entrepreneurship UBC, and I also started a company called Mesentel Therapeutics during the pandemic, which focuses on fibroblast biology for fibrosis, inflammatory disorders, as well as tumor microenvironment. So great to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. Thank you, Melissa and Ali, for that introduction. I'm going to quickly go over the agenda, and then we'll get into it. So we're going to start with the overview, the vision, why we set out on this journey. We'll get into the details of the first course, IP strategy and management, and then we'll have some questions, and then we'll get into the details of the unmet needs course and end with an open Q&A to help answer your questions. I want to start a little bit talking about the School of Biomedical Engineering and our vision for developing the course. As you see in this photo, this is an architecture's rendering of our new building, which will be coming online on UBC's campus in January 2025. And the school was created in 2017. It's a very unique engineering department as it sits between two different faculties, medicine and engineering. And I think really at the heart of it is looking to measure, model, and engineer biology for human health. So applying those engineering principles to biology. We really have a focus on impacting human health. We have 3 themes, one being cellular molecular engineering, data, computational biology, and human interfacing devices, really looking at those traditional diagnostics, therapeutics devices, but at the end of the day, how do we impact human health? We have a mission to translate discoveries that come out of academia into commercial products that hopefully end up supporting patients and their care. And part of that mission is our wet lab incubator, which is the only venture spin-out space providing wet lab space at UBC. And we do this because we believe that innovations that happen within academia, within labs, really should be translated to the patient. So I mention this because it is a part of our broader vision and how the microcertificate fits into that. I also just want to mention that with the move to our new building, we'll be expanding our footprint of our incubator, and we'll have capacity to support 8 to 10 ventures. So if you're really interested and you're starting this journey to learn about IP strategy for your innovation, keep us in mind as you learn more and you think about what the next steps are. I want to sort of mention the fact that this whole program from ideation to development has been built with our industry advisory committee and their organizations, really focusing on understanding what those industry needs are, and then building this training pathway. So our vision was to understand what the ecosystem needed in terms of professional skill gaps. We know that the scientists on this call, those of you who have innovations or working in the lab, you have that deep technical expertise, but maybe what you don't get in your grad studies is that focus on entrepreneurship or focus on some of these soft skills. So how could we provide short micro-credential learning that's aligned with industry needs and skills so you can focus on building those competencies and maybe working towards translating your own innovations? So this is where the Innovation Leadership Micro-Certificate came to fruition. It's 2 courses spread over 10 weeks, 50 hours total, $12.50 per course if you're domestic, $2,500 if you're international, really meant to help you bridge that scientific and entrepreneurial bridge so that you can look at translating your innovations. And again, really built with the industry relevant curriculum in mind, but I know that our instructors will touch more on that. Really quickly, the course for our IP course, starts October 9th. And the second one starts on January 7th. So if you're interested, there's still time to sign up for both. Really quickly, the learner evaluation, this applies to both of our courses. This is meant to provide you with high impact, high value learning and letting you apply what you've learned through a capstone project, reading assignments, and then participating in those bi-weekly live sessions where we have invited speakers to come and teach those modules. So I will hand it over to Melissa to talk a little bit more in depth about the first course on IP strategy and management.
Yeah, thank you, Danielle. And it is my true pleasure and honor to build this intellectual property and management course with Ali Ardakani from Novator Ventures and with UBC team. And I think with this course, we built a unique educational offering in Canada. A little bit about objectives and goals of this course. The first objective was really to help learners develop intellectual property expertise. So what this means is that with this course, we would like to help you deepen understanding of intellectual property principles and how to apply them in biotech in Canada and globally. As a second objective, we set up strategic IP management. So with this, we would like to really help you create and implement effective IP strategies and learn how to align them with business goals. Third objective is commercialization. So this course is really geared towards helping you understand how to evaluate IP, how to do technology transfer, how to commercialize technologies, because all this is really what drives innovation. And as a fourth objective is ethical and regulatory insights. So this course will touch base on ethical consideration and regulatory compliance that impacts IP management. Our course will be presented over 10 weeks, starting October 9. And in the first week, we will be introducing intellectual property. Then we will be talking about patent fundamentals and eligibility, patent filing and prosecution, a little bit about IP strategy development. We will deep dive into technology transfer, licensing, negotiation of the terms, all these with case studies of real-world examples. In week 6, we will talk about entrepreneurship. We'll try to connect IP evaluation with business models, with company formation. Week 7 will be focused on ethics and AI in IP management. It's a hot topic nowadays. Week 8 will address regulatory compliance, clinical trials, and global IP management. Week 9 will be focused on collaboration and partnerships in IP management. And we will conclude this course with the capstone project, which is happening in mid of December. It is a half-day workshop with experts. And the capstone project really is geared towards one interactive time between learners and experts, where we will ask learners to do the exercise of drafting the patent, which will be one of the goals of your capstone project. We will do the exercise about mock negotiation of licensing agreements, again, related to your capstone project. And also we will expect you to present and hopefully obtain significant expert feedback. In terms of the technologies that you might choose for this capstone project, really that could be something which is existing idea, something that maybe you're already working on, technologies you're developing in your lab. It could also be a new thing. And the capstone project is a teamwork. So really it will be evaluated as a team results and team presentations. So you will have a lot of freedom to really choose technology that your team is passionate to work on and learn about during this course. And with this, I would like to invite Ali Ardekani to tell us a little bit more about experts that we brought together for this course. And this is really, really, really exciting time that we were fortunate to have so many experts really eager to kindly give us a little bit of their time, to teach this course with us.
So, when we were designing this course together with Danielle and Milica, as some of you know, I run a global advisory group where I'm really fortunate to work with some of the world experts in drug and device development. And I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could ask each or some of the specific modules, we have 1 or 2 of these global experts to come in and share their real world experience teaching us about IP. Collectively, this team, I just did a quick back of the envelope calculation, has about 400 years of drug and device development, which is quite significant. If you guys start on a venture and you want to hire each one of these guys, some of them you have to pay hundreds of dollars an hour, and a couple of them are actually closer to $1,000 an hour. So you're getting a tremendous value by having these guys come to this course and provide you their lifetime knowledge and experience. Just a couple of them I've had, a few of them, most of this group I've had the pleasure and opportunity to work with. Tom Digby, for example, ran Novartis's IP practice for a number of years and was able to reclaim back about $650 million of IP revenue for Novartis. Lee Johnson is a lead patent attorney at one of the largest firms in the United States called Mintz. I've had the pleasure and opportunity to work with Jay Zhang. He actually he worked at Myriad Genetic. He was their chief patent counsel. And those of you who may know Myriad Genetic, they developed the BRCA1 and 2 gene, which is the key for a lot of cancer diagnostics. The ACLU took Myriad Genetics to Supreme Court, and he had to defend those patents, and he won those patents. So you can imagine the breadth, and this is just 3 of them. The rest of them are all amazing people like Ali Tehrani, who built one of the first multi-billion-dollar bispecific cancer companies in the world, Zymeworks, which is still continues its journey here, or Alison Gao, and we've got a number of other amazing people, David Poon, Natalie Dakers, Sean Lum, and many others on this list. This is what I call an all-star list we've brought for you guys, and we're hoping that you will be able to gain that phenomenal knowledge that they'll offer you guys to start your venture. Not only learn about IP, but actually you will be able to also learn about drug development and device development. Next slide. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about the format. So this is fully online with a combination of pre-recorded lectures and bi-weekly sessions. And this is really designed so on your own time you can access pre-recorded video lectures, case studies, podcasts, readings, and expert presentations, as well as participate in online discussion forums. We will have, of course, today is our live discussion and Q&A. We will have bi-weekly meetings on Wednesdays, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We will have, as Melissa mentioned, we're going to have a capstone project, which is going to be a hybrid session on December 14th between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. at UBC campus. Our expected effort for you guys is to actually spend at least a couple of hours per week completing all the learning activities, including attending the real-time online sessions and attending the blended workshops, which will total shouldn't take more than 5 hours. We just required you to have a computer with an internet, which I'm sure you have, and that's how you're here, with a webcam and a microphone for live sessions. All right, questions?
Wonderful. Thanks, Ali. Feel free to raise your hand or pop them in the chat and we can moderate from there. And I will just mention you have the course instructors and builders here on the call. So this is your opportunity to ask those hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, don't be shy. I mean, IP is not maybe as simple or the most attractive topic, but once when you know really how to use it, it could be super, super beneficial for your research projects, for your thesis, for your company information, if any. I think we have a question.
Yeah, thank you. From Jessica, for the IP course, is the goal and objective meant to replace the need to hire lawyers for execution and bring that expertise in-house?
I can add to that.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to become patent lawyers. Really, the objective is to give you the lens how to develop good IP. I think this is actually quite an unmet need, and I really applaud the School of Biomedical Engineering teaching you great, amazing scientific students to learn this, because actually to develop IP, you need to understand how IP is developed, commercialized, and prosecuted. Ultimately, this is not something that you want to do on your own. You will have to eventually, when you have good ideas, you'll work, if you're out of UBC, work with UBC ILO, or if you have a company, you'll hire IP. But I've learned over the years that my personal knowledge of IP, which I have to give some credit to people I've worked with, like Tom Digby or Jay Zhang, is that when you know enough about IP, you can develop IP. People think, oh, it's just about a novel idea. It's actually a lot more than that. So this is really to teach you the fundamental of what is IP, what is good IP, and how do you develop it and how you defend it. What it will do, which is quite important, is that you will be able to manage your IP lawyers when you have your own company, and that could save you tens of thousands of dollars. A lot of those IP lawyers out there actually have really never developed a product. They're really good IP attorneys. Tom Digby is not the case. He's actually worked in pharmaceutical companies, but a lot of them actually go straight from law school and become lawyers, and then they come and work with biotech companies. Good ones have developed products, and we're hoping you'll be able to question your IP attorney. You'll be able to push them. You'll be able to actually tell them, this is what the significant case is in the IP, and don't patent this because it's not defensible. A lot of time we patent things that we cannot defend, and that really has no value.
And maybe one more thing to add, like if you are in academic or research labs, this course can definitely, provide you with deeper understanding how to work with tech transfer office, what questions to ask, and, to take some proactive stand about your own research projects, because, IP strategy should be developed early on while you're still in the lab. And this is the best place to start. So even if you don't have a company today, and maybe you are not dreaming about, entrepreneurial journey, you would like to stay in academia, understanding really how to develop your own IP will definitely help with your research projects, with publications, with grants, with everything that is following, successful, research that you're doing. I think we are getting some questions here.
Yeah, I can answer
So,
the next 2 months and then
okay, yeah, okay.
Ali. So eligible criteria, this course is open to anyone to register. There is no eligibility. Scholarships, unfortunately, at this time, we do not have that scholarship, but we did approach the BC government for their future skills grants. So hopefully that is something that we can offer in future years. And then the next question, Amir said, do you believe this program would offer valuable benefits for someone with an MBA? So I'll hand it over back to the Novateur team.
I would say absolutely. I think this should actually be part of an MBA curriculum if it's not already, especially in the biotechnology setting. And there was
Yeah.
another question. Someone asked, my job may not permit to join the live QA session. That will be recorded. That's okay. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so every session will be actually recorded. Yeah, so we'll have pre-recorded ones and we will have online ones that are going in live, but everything will be recorded. So if you're not able to really attend in live, you will be able to listen to on your own time, and we will have reading material and quizzes and stuff like that that can be done at your own time.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. This course was meant to fit into your schedules, and you can take this while you're, fully employed.
The next question is interesting. Someone is asking if this is a North American perspective, Canadian perspective. It will be, from our perspective, we've decided to cover major global markets. So the way we actually, when you end up filing IP, you go after the major global markets where you can protect your IP. So that would be, we'll have modules that covers your IP fundamentals around the major key markets, US, Europe, Japan, and other key markets, Canada is included.
And throughout the course, I mean, depends again what you're developing and where your, motivation sits. If you would like to learn more about certain markets, we will have experts, and we'll be definitely, able to help you, deepen your understanding for certain markets.
Exactly. The question about residents from Ontario or BC, it is open to anyone globally even. And then Jessica asked, can you share how many times this course has run? This is our pilot. This is our first time running this. So we will evolve and we will iterate, but this is the first time.
The first time in Canada. So if you join the cohort, you can always say that you were part of inaugural cohort.
Yes, exactly. So for the capstone project, it is a hybrid as well. So we will have the option for remote, yes. Serene, if you can send me an email afterwards, Extended Learning may have something on their back end to help with that. I'll put my email in the chat. The process of enrolling, if you head to the website and register, it is a simple process through their platform. You do not have to sign up for both courses. You can pick one or the other, but to get the innovation micro-certificate badge, which you can put on LinkedIn, that requires both courses, but you can pick or choose.
Danielle, can we put the link for the registration in there, or is it already?
I can. I am just on one screen today, so I'm.
Okay. All right. No,
I will share a link in a second. Yes, I can do that. And I have everyone's information from this session, so I can follow up with the information. The question about pricing. So domestic is $1,250 per course, $2,500 for the full certificate. And then it's $2,500 for international for each course. And yes, this will be recorded and shared with all registrants. Wonderful. Any more questions around the content for our subject matter experts while we have their time? How are we differentiating from the course on IP strategy? Would the course also cover the IP protected nutraceutical products?
So it teaches fundamentals of IP. You can apply to anything. It could be devices, it would be therapeutics or nutraceutical if you can get IP on them. I'm not familiar with BC's new venture course on IP strategy and implementation, but that's something I can look into. But I'm not familiar with it at this point.
Yeah, from my understanding, that course is really targeted towards ventures who have a go-to-market strategy and they're looking for support, whereas this is meant to give you a really baseline knowledge that you can apply to any of those innovations or discoveries that you're thinking of. Internships. I mean, I think that this course is a beautiful opportunity to get connected with the ecosystem. I know networking, the folks that we're bringing in for the course, it is a wonderful opportunity to expand your network. So I would say reach out to them. There's nothing official per se, but it is an extremely valuable networking opportunity. And maybe Ali, if you want to say a few words about the folks you brought on board.
Yeah, I mean, this is that's the beauty of this course. We've really designed it to be a networking, high quality networking program for everyone. You'll get to know phenomenal instructors that have global access to a lot of different opportunities. And this, internship is actually a really interesting question. So there are a number of programs across the province and across Canada that do internship, and that's something through BioTalent Canada and other funding agencies that I can provide some information at some point. But I would also recommend that you check out the Life Sciences BC website because we do have some information around internship.
Yeah, great point, Ali. And there will be resources that we share to the community, like the job boards through LSBC and BioTalent and other opportunities that will be built in to this course. In terms of signing up for the second course, and if you're wanting to do the full certificate, we will reserve and provide, those reserved seats for those that have taken the first course. So that should not be an issue, Abdullah.
There's a question around what type of experience are we
Yeah.
expecting students to have? No experience is needed. It's actually really designed for you to have no experience, but be able to learn everything you need so that as you start thinking about inventions, you can start thinking about how to develop good IP.
But also, if you have certain experience and you would like to deepen your knowledge, this course will be good for that too.
Yes, absolutely.
And yes, we are using Zoom as the platform. And we also have a learning management system called Canvas, which is used across a lot of institutions, but that is the UBC one. So if you're familiar with Canvas, it'll be on Canvas and Zoom. Great. Well, I would just like to thank Ali and Melissa for your time and for all of your support in developing this wonderful course. I hope this was informational for everyone. If you have any questions, please get in touch. We're really excited to launch this on October 9th. Great. Okay, we're going to move on to the second course, the unmet needs in healthcare strategy and solutions. And joining us today, if you already met him, John Jafari is going to talk a little bit about the course and answer your questions.
Great. So the course about unmet medical needs, there are many diseases that still lack effective treatments. And we, in really designing this course, we will help you understand how novel innovations are identified and translated into new therapies. So how problems are identified and how we pair them with medical device makers, therapeutic development makers, and then how the whole landscape looks like in terms of development. So how do regulatory authorities like the FDA and the EMA and Health Canada provide guidance, support, and incentives to therapeutic developers to encourage innovation? So for example, there are things like antibacterials where it's really tough for industry to commercialize on their own, but government provides significant incentives to encourage development. And then really how patients, researchers, companies and payers actually view and support the development of new therapies, and that would include medical devices. And then So, there's a great need to support the development of therapies with high unmet medical needs, such as pandemics. I think we've seen that recently. And most of us on this call probably benefit from discoveries made here at UBC and in British Columbia in terms of the COVID vaccine as well as the antibodies. Next. So this course is also split up into 10 weeks. So the course introduction is the first week, and it's really understanding what unmet medical need is. Over the courses of researching for this course, we've really understood that the definition isn't defined, but there's different ways that different groups are looking at it. We'll look at the patient perspectives, advocacy, the role of the regulatory affairs, as well as market influence as well. And, really in terms of market influence, we'll look at how partnerships between different groups, such as patient advocacy groups, can get therapeutics and different modalities developed outside of sort of the market influences. And then we'll look to discuss the translation in week 3, translating research discoveries into therapeutic applications. We'll look at how drug targets are identified. What does preclinical research and translation look like? And therapeutic development, including medical devices. Week 4, looking at challenges and disparities in underserved patient populations, understanding the underlying unmet need in terms of research diversity. So a lot of clinical trials in the past have strictly involved white men only. And things like drug dose are important when you only have men in a clinical study. Things like atrial fibrillation, which affects mostly women, or autoimmune disorders that 70 to 80% of the patients are women, have typically been underserved. So we will go through some of that and some of the ways that different governments and groups are looking to sort of modify and rectify the health inequities. Week 5, we'll be looking at regulatory pathways and clinical trial designs. So really looking at, for difficult to develop indications, what the regulatory authorities do in collaboration with patients, in collaboration with researchers and companies to provide things like secondary benefits, et cetera, adaptive trials, real world evidence, as well as individualized medicine to improve the outcomes for various patients. And we'll look at regulatory approvals, reimbursement, therapeutic reviews, as well as health technology assessment. So when a group like either the government or a insurer is looking at covering a product for a specific unmet medical need, what do they look at? And so what's the process? So we've got some great folks that'll be on the call, both from a biotech side as well as a patient health outcome side. And then we'll be looking at comparative effectiveness research, which is something really understanding the value of each type of therapy and how it benefits patients, as well as the healthcare system and potentially even hospitals. And then week 8, we're going to be looking at going through digital health and pandemic preparedness. So COVID has really emphasized the need for digital health to work with rural populations, and really to take some of the strain off of the local and national healthcare environments. So, and then we'll be also looking at pandemic preparedness. We'll be speaking with Tiffany Chu from AbCellera, the ethical considerations, as well as healthcare technology. And then week 9, we'll look at regulatory incentives. So this really started out in the US, but understanding things like the Orphan Drug Act, what the benefits have been of that in terms of stimulating different small biotech industry, as well as to develop meaningful therapeutics for patients. And we'll look at innovation frameworks, the policy impact in terms of therapeutic development, things like the breakthrough therapy designation, and how that really helps support development of novel therapeutics. And then we will also wrap up on March 8th with a capstone project. And we will look at really sort of looking at a single project from the standpoint of the patients, the caregivers, advocates, and then the research developers and regulators, and sort of tie it all together with some amazing support from our local ecosystem. Next. So these are some of our experts. So Parveen Badi, he is the scientific director of the BC Generations Project, which looks at sort of longitudinal analysis of patient populations in British Columbia. It's meant to really enhance the knowledge base for diverse patient groups. And it's been funded by Genome BC. Tiffany Chu, who's VP of Communications at AbCellera. She'll be discussing the pandemic response. And so, as we know from COVID, AbCellera played a meaningful role in developing the first antibody that was approved for treating COVID. And it actually made the company enough money to have enough bandwidth to run for the next, say, 6 years. Stefan Aval, he's VP Product Management at Cardium, and they have a device to treat AFib. And he's going to discuss sort of the regulatory guardrails and how during the design process that's changed the actual device through development. Tom Froelich, previously at Chinook Pharmaceuticals, which is a company that was acquired by Novartis for, I believe, $3 billion. I could be wrong. And he really was there from the inception of the company. And the premise of the company is chronic kidney disease and the meaningful changes by the FDA and the EMA in terms of looking at secondary endpoints for chronic kidney disorders. And so how that impacted them in terms of creating a company in the space and moving it forward. Next. So the format is the same as the IP course. We'll have live sessions. I think we might have more live sessions just because of the availability of the speakers. For this course, it will be largely, I'd say about 20 minutes of lecture and then 15 to 20 minutes of guest speakers, either pre-recorded or live. And then the capstone project will also be hybrid, similar to the IP course. And whenever possible, we'll include relevant case studies that sort of illustrate each week's learnings and activities. And then the final week, participants will take the role of each participant in the development of therapeutics and novel therapies. And then finally, the effort is the same as the IP course, about 1 to 2.5 hours per week, including the online sessions and the final blended workshop, which is 5 hours. So with that, I will also take questions.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. And yes, feel free to pop them in the chat or raise your hand and unmute yourself.
Ali, in terms of a TPP, yes, TPP will be included. And then I've done a session on development of a TPP for the Nanomedicines Innovation Network, and that's available on YouTube.
John, do you want to explain what a TPP is for our audience?
Yes, absolutely. So a TPP is a target product profile, and it's a way, it was developed by the FDA in collaboration with pharmaceutical companies in, I believe, the 80s. If you look at a drug right now and you take out the paper, that's a label, right? So if you're taking your Advil, there's a label and it says what it's for, who the patient population is, dosage, side effects, etc. So biotechs and pharmaceuticals have developed this, and med device have sort of a different template, but they put together sort of a look in the future to see what your drug will look like when it's launched. And it's for, let's say we're developing something for endometriosis. So it's for women of age X that have been diagnosed with endometriosis. Here's the side effects, here's the dosing, time frame, clinical trial data, etc. It's super valuable, and it's something that I do both for the companies that I work with, my own company, as well as for clients. So thanks for that question, Ellie.
Thanks, John. There's a question in the chat. The course content around regulatory, is that from a provincial federal perspective, or is that global lens as well?
Yeah, good question. So that's definitely a global lens. I would say a lot of it is based on the US side, because the US has really sort of pioneered the things like the Orphan Drug Act, as well as the GAIN Act, to develop antibacterials, breakthrough designation, etc. So I look at mostly starting in the US and then how that's moved across jurisdictions like Japan, as well as Europe. And I'd have to say that Canada is a bit further behind in terms of adopting these type of designations.
Thanks, John. Maybe you can tell us something that you have been surprised to learn through the course development, or something exciting that you want to tease to the audience today.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the things that I've been doing in parallel to the course is looking at sort of unmet medical need for women's health, and really understanding sort of the disparities in terms of the background, the history, the fact that women were excluded from clinical trials for a number of years, sort of those disparities, the disparities in terms of the data sets. And I think, as Melissa and Ali mentioned, AI is very important. It's definitely incumbent upon us to really understand sort of the underlying data sets and make sure that they're more inclusive, so it'll have more broad application across different patient groups.
Yeah, well said, John. I know that's a big theme that will emerge from identifying unmet need, is those unserved populations. I want to encourage people on the chat to take advantage of the instructors being on the call. How about geriatrics, John?
Yeah, great question. Yes, absolutely. So the population is aging, as we well know, and I will definitely have a set part of one of the sessions, at least in terms of the therapeutic development for geriatrics, as well as the medical device side of things. So a lot of the diseases that we look at, cancer, et cetera, increase as you get older. And there's different groups which are looking at sort of the aging and how it affects the development of specific disorders. And actually, one of the learnings that I found quite interesting was that we age at different time points. So there's sort of 2 times during your life that you age a lot, and I'm in one of them. So that was something interesting to learn. But there's recent research that's come out that you sort of really age in your early 50s, and then again, I think it's later in your 70s. And so these are things that are a bit sobering, but it's very interesting in terms of the research. Okay, what kind of certificates, credits to upgrade at UBC? I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Happy to take that one. So this is a non-credit course. That's why it's a micro certificate. There is a push from the provincial government to move towards laddering these types of programs. So while not currently, this is not possible, that is something that's on the horizon and in discussion between UBC and the provincial government. John, I'll let you take this question. If there'll be content on the government, how they start to implement new therapies in public healthcare, is that different between centers and hospitals, and priorities by government?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the key things that we'll be going through in terms of how different groups evaluate novel therapies, how long it takes for them to get on formulary and get to be delivered to patients, and how that is actually differentiated between different geographies. So, you have an amazing drug for X, and then how long it takes to roll out in different territories based on governments, budgets, et cetera. Absolutely. That is one of the key premises of the course.
Wonderful. Great. Well, as we start to wind down the Q&A in the chat, maybe I'll just take a moment to ask Melissa or Ali if you have any final parting words or pieces of advice for those that are thinking about taking the certificate.
Well, I will definitely encourage you to seriously consider this opportunity. And I have to say, the reason why, I decided to join this and really put this together, because currently I'm not aware that something like this exists at Canadian universities. So, if you are, in your career level where you feel like that you need this kind of knowledge, I would really, advise you to seriously consider taking this course.
Thanks, Melissa.
And
Could
could
I
you-
just add that I'd say this type of information are the type of things that I've learned like on the job, et cetera. So when I got my MBA, my master's in biotech, these things weren't taught. And I think they're things you learn on the job a bit. And they're super valuable in terms of really understanding the overall sort of big picture level of what's going on when you're developing new therapies.
Yeah, I would say for me, a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the last 25 years is by chance. It's different jobs you enter, different people you work, different conferences you attend. And to be honest with you, a lot of mistakes you make. And some of those mistakes, experience is something that by the time you learn it, often it's too late. So I would say we've structured all that knowledge, and hopefully you get the foundation of how to develop really good inventions and products instead of having to sort of by chance learn things.
Wonderful. Thank you all. And thank you for joining us on this journey, building up the course from ideation all the way to, course delivery. We're really excited to have this start in the fall, and we encourage everyone on the call to join us. If you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you for joining us tonight, and please join me in thanking our subject matter experts and instructors. And with that, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and we hope to see you on October 9th.
Bye.
Take care.